Oh, nice. Okay. Like to call to order the Board of Finance, Town North Stonington Board of Finance special meeting, August 6th at 7 o'clock. We have myself, Dan Smith, Vice Chair, Gary Nino, Lou Gincarella, Carl Johnson, and sitting in for Mike Anderson, Winona Burdine. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comments. Logan?
Is it on? Hi, everyone. How are you?
Done.
So going through our end of year from last year, I came and asked for an allocation of $76,000. So I want to thank everybody for that because it really helped us through the end of the fiscal year. Along with that and graveling with my billing company to rebill everything, we are returning $38,315.26 to the town to be audited from. Yep, it's $38,315.26. Unfortunately, they don't let me carry around that kind of cash.
Yeah, just keep passing them down.
And from the ambulance organization, we just wanted to extend our gratitude and thank you for supporting us and allowing us to continue this last year.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ed? No? Just open the check. Yep. Perfect. It's always great when the money comes back. All right. So number 4 on the list, auditor RFP discussion. So over the past couple of weeks, we have had auditor information. We have 2 of them to look over tonight. And hopefully we can come to a consensus of voting on it and sending it to Sue so she can get the ball rolling on our audit services for the year and potentially future auditing services. I'd like to open up the floor to everybody and have a nice rousing discussion.
Point of clarification, this is not an RFP discussion. This is a bid review
Bid review.
because we weren't allowed to comment on the RFP, if we all remember.
Well, I think
And I
what-
would like to make sure we get to comment on the RFP before it goes out the next time.
okay. Sorry, no problem.
In the interest, to get this moving,
Mhm.
we first want a motion to approve one of them and have a discussion.
We can do that. Entertain a motion to,
I'd make a motion that we accept CBIZ's
proposal.
proposal.
Okay, Winona seconded. Discussion.
So we have a bid and a non-qualifying bid, in my humble opinion. We got a 1-year and we got a 3-year, which is what we asked for. I recognize a desire to act, and I'm generally supportive of the motion. But can we act on it knowing we only got 1 bid back on shouldn't this be a multiple proposal selection?
I don't think there's any legal requirement to have more than one
That's what I
bid.
would-
This was the third time the bid went out, so this is the only bid that we received.
So I was only aware of it going out one time
It was
previous.
3 times.
No, it keeps rolling out until we actually get it, because we had no bid multiple times.
See, I wasn't aware of that. At the last meeting, we discussed the fact that we didn't know we were going out for a second time, but I didn't know it went out 3 times.
Well, wait a minute. I think it went out once, didn't get anything. This
Uh-huh.
bid came in, but it came in late.
It came in, it just never got
It never got opened
opened.
because of the mix up in one of the mailboxes.
Somebody was out.
So was there any post-bid review? Did we talk to these people? Do we feel confident? These are new players for us.
So last Board of Finance meeting, you received the technical package and it
Yep.
showed all the different towns that they did their auditing and they had a whole packet of what their qualifications are, all about the company. So the Board of Finance should review that before making a decision.
No, so in the normal bid and award process, the bid goes out, the bid comes back, the bids get compared, if assuming there's more than one of them, they get levelized. And then you have usually a review with the submitter to make sure they didn't miss anything before we make an award. That's the typical process.
Which that's not how we've awarded the last 2, if I remember right. Trying to go back in
That
my,
was before my
That's a
time.
great process if you have more than one bid to consider.
Well, I'm really concerned over the fact we only have one bid. I think something, and the reason I'm stuck on this, did anybody talk to us? I'd like to understand why we only have one bid.
So I did speak to my colleagues to find out why we weren't getting any bids. And actually, one colleague I spoke with used to be an auditor and works for a local town, a local city. And what's happening is that these auditing firms are going for the bigger cities and towns. They're not really going for the smaller towns. So we're seeing a decline in the bids coming in, is my understanding. This was posted on the state bid list. It was posted on the GFOA on our website. It was posted everywhere that we could possibly post it. I reached out to 3 additional firms that were doing local towns and did not receive any response whatsoever. So I'm not really sure. I did reach out to the Board of Finance with any suggestions where else it could be posted, and I didn't get any response.
so one of the other things is both of these firms, the unqualifying one and the qualifying one, are both on the state. If you do not have an auditing service, one will be appointed to you by the state, and they were both on that list. So they have done work in the state of Connecticut. On Appendix A for the auditing service proposal for CBIZ, they do work. They do work for the town of Plainfield, Stratford, and Trumbull that are around the same size of town. So they are used to dealing with smaller communities, similar size, similar demographic when it comes to size of how many people, size of municipality. And it's not like we're talking about something from 2000 that the last time they did something in the state of Connecticut or for an auditing service town. It's fairly recent from 2024.
I'm all right with it. I'm supportive, primarily based on the fact that they can meet our normal schedule. I don't want to go through what we went through last year with the delay. That was, I mean, I think the Board of Finance took most of the heat for the fact that that was all lagging last year, and I don't want to be under that gun again.
So I think also what we need to realize is if we were going to choose an auditing service for, which is say, if we were going to choose an auditing service going forward, we'd be starting that process right now. And then award one by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, we're now starting it now to get it for this year. So we're already kind of 6 months behind the 8 ball on this because we have had so many no bids.
But their response says they can meet our dates. And that's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, that's in the
Yes.
technical
Yeah.
package
Yes.
I
that
saw
was
it.
given to the
No,
Board
no,
of
no, I saw it.
Finance.
I did look at the technical package. Suzanne, don't take offense. I think it's important to talk to the bidders before you make an award. That's all I was highlighting is it's important to make sure that we're not just going off of what, because a lot of that is boilerplate. That's just standard RFP response. You just want to look someone in the eye or shake their hands and make sure they understand what they're biting off and that they can deliver. That's where I was going.
Would we be in a position to say to them, or whomever we choose, after next year is done, to roll the contract, get a commitment 2 years out,
They have it in here.
just
Yeah.
keep rolling it?
It's a 2-year kicker.
No,
You
no,
said
no,
3
no,
year-
no.
Oh, you're talking about
No.
going, yeah.
So that we don't run into this again where we're looking at a 1-year deadline. So that at the end of next year, we say to them, okay, you're going to do it next year, but we want you to commit for 2 more years so that we don't run into this again.
So in year 2, you would say, all right, we're going into our third, we're like halfway through it. We want you to commit further.
I don't
No, not
believe.
even-
It's like buying out free agency in baseball.
I
You want
don't,
to, you
I
want to
don't believe
buy
that
out
was
the
in the
years.
RFP.
I'm
And
not
when we asked to put it in the RFP, we weren't allowed to revise the RFP. So what we have is what we get.
I understand that,
Yeah,
but I'm just
I
saying,
see where
going,
he's going.
going forward,
Yeah.
as we work with them, is there something that would preclude us from being able to do that? Well, we could say to them at the end of
Year 2.
this year,
Oh, you want to do it this year?
keep it 2 years rolling so that we always have the luxury of 2 years out with the firm, so we don't have to deal with this again. We can, my question is there anything that would preclude us from doing that?
I don't know.
Then I think we should just look
bid
at it.
amendment.
I would think what's gonna happen though is they're gonna wanna go 1 whole year of
Mhm.
doing it for us before
Yeah.
they even think about doing it for the next 2 or 3
Okay.
after.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you could request them saying that do we have to put everything out to bid again in a year and a half? So we're gonna start right now, so we're not falling
Right.
behind the
Yeah,
board.
That's
Are you willing to put the bid for us again?
Yeah.
exactly,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
you're
getting
not
at. Yeah.
requiring them to do it, you just ask them to do it.
Yeah, because this being held to
Mhm.
the possibility of having somebody we don't want as a CPA and they're being able to charge whatever they want
Mhm.
to get our work done.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to.
But we would
avoid
also know after the first year, when we get to them, if they come see us, if we're still happy with them,
Right.
then instead of asking them, we're gonna be looking for somebody in 2 years.
How it was explained to me was if we got another no bid and we had to go to the state, we would go basically whoever was available on that list and whatever, so probably within reason, but whatever that cost would be, that is the cost that we would end up having to pay. It could be 100, it could be $120,000. We had no control over that. Is that correct?
Correct.
So back to the Gary's request to Susan is, when I talked to my brother-in-law, it was basically the same thing. They don't want to do the smaller ones.
Mhm.
They don't want to take the responsibility for it, for the amount of time that they can actually charge. They would need to charge double and triple to cover their hours of all the stuff
It's
and
the
to cover
billable
their
hours.
reliability.
Yep.
So
It's-
that's where they're dropping all the small ones and going just the big ones.
Yeah, it's basically the tiered system. They're going for tier 1 clients. They want the $1 million clients instead of having 4 or 5 of the other ones. It's easier. It's one-stop shop. They just can set up shop and keep it going. It's,
And every time some department, someplace says, well, we'll just make the town's report on that. And it gets added to the work that the accountants have to do the audit. That's how it all adds up. A lot of the stuff is superfluous. Anyway,
Carl.
The other thing he did mention was that because of our town and we only have 2 or 3 people in the auditing, or in the reporting section, because we don't have a big town, that's something else that they kind of flinch against because they'd rather see 2 or 3 people checking all their numbers before they get, is what he had mentioned. I don't know how. I mean, we're better off, we're all everybody's right there touching instead of 3 or 4 departments away. But he explained it to me that most of those guys want somebody that has a bigger accounting in the town.
Sue, maybe you can answer this. How many, with King and King, how many people do they usually send or do they even, or is it all electronic where?
So they were on site for approximately a week with 3 people.
Okay.
That was at the town side, and then they went to the Board of Ed for about a week or so.
So a week in
And
both
then they
spots.
did remote work after that to finalize everything.
So if they needed something, make sure you guys would scan it.
Oh, we'd scan
send
it
it,
and send.
bring
They
it
have a
in.
portal. We would upload everything in the
Okay.
portal. They give us a checklist ahead of time. We get it all uploaded, and if anything was missing or if they needed additional information, we'd send it to them.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks like that we would get the same amount of staff Location of office staff. So it sounded like what was it, between three? So 3, 5.
All right.
It's similar. It sounds like it's not like they're sending one or two. It's similar staffing, so it's not like they're undercutting the price.
They're
anywhere.
not undercutting.
They're
the
not
price.
undercutting the
They're more
price.
expensive,
Yeah.
but they're giving us a 3-year commitment that we asked for.
Correct.
So I guess at this point, we can just move the
They
question.
did tell me when I did talk to CBiz, I talked to them a couple of times and they did say that as long as everything was organized and when they came in and everything was there as expected and nothing unusual, there might be some extra costs with staffing and more hours, just to let us know that piece. But I think we're in pretty good shape, with,
Did they, in that bid portion, do we have a cap where if it does go over budget, which is say, like, it prevents them going from just start racking up the bill? I
don't
didn't
believe
see
in
any,
the
I didn't,
RFP
s-
there's
I
a-
didn't
the
see
cap,
anything in
no.
there where, which is say they like, it's something that they don't like and they can just, and they just keep on going and going and going and going. And then all of a sudden it's an extra $10,000 more.
No, there's no
No.
cap in ours.
There's no cap.
Is this a price lock for 3 years or is there a increase in here somewhere?
It's a
Every
3%
year?
increase from
Okay,
year
I
to
didn't- I
year, but
couldn't-
it is in
yeah.
the proposal. They lay it out what each year is going to be.
And then it could be depending on the condition of the prep of the audit.
Yep.
We could have more on top of that.
So it's a moot point.
All right, 'cause
We
gotta
need a
go.
vote.
That's right. That's what I can move the question.
Just that, so you're gonna be interfacing a lot with them. Do you feel comfortable with CBiz after your multiple discussions with them?
Right, and I went through all the packet and everything. I'm comfortable with the towns that they had done. They did Plainfield, which is somewhat similar to us. So I'm comfortable with their proposal.
And everything that they have in there, basically they're required to file the same amount of stuff, so.
Right. Right.
So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Moving forward to a vote to award CBiz Markham, or is it Markham CBiz? The auditing service for 3 years of the town of North Stonington. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, so it's 5, 0, 0.
It's above budget, right?
What? It's above budget. So the next step for that would be Sue's gonna file the correct paperwork and then Bob is going to have to either come to appropriation or move money around through line item transfers to get that.
Doesn't the school pick up part of it?
The school picks a part of that. So the split for that would have to be handled,
2/3, 1/3.
yeah, however that is.
The school shouldn't have a problem after the found money, even after the shopping
I
spree.
think they're budgeted for $25,000.
25.
25,000 this year, so
Yeah.
it will be similar split or however they need to work it, but was that?
They don't need to do it. They can just make the payment.
So, okay. All right, great. Got that out. All right, number 5, undesignated fund discussion. This is the rolling discussion that we've had the last, I think, 3 or 4 meetings. And I know Gary has brought this up multiple times. that-
I do
Yes.
not, we have factions in this town that look at this non-designated fund as money to be spent. And I think that I do not want to go into the budget season again
Correct.
with eyes on this, thinking, oh, we can just go swing for the fence on the budget and they could solve it out of that. That's not what this undesignated fund is for.
Mhm.
So I would like this cleared up as we committed prior to going into the budget season. And we committed to meet all summer long if we had to get this right.
Correct, and that's why I asked to have this put on the budget, because I know that this was a discussion, this was a commitment, I think, by this whole board.
Yep.
To come up with a plan to lower the tax on the town of North Torrington taxpayers. So I'm gonna open the floor. We can have discussions here. How about we do?
First
this?
question I have is
Oh,
potential appropriation steep 2025 at 779.
Wait, where are you?
I'm on the undesignated fund projected changes, page 2, second to last line.
Can we
So-
just
so-
start
so
with
we-
page one? Because there's a, I think there might be, it says fiscal year 2025, 2025. This is,
Yeah, this
it
is,
says should be fiscal year 2025, 2026.
yep.
Is that
Right there.
true? Or is that
So that's a
2024,
How
2025?
how
That's
about,
a
how about we
question.
start off with this? Susan, do you want to just go through and kind of
Um,
explain what this is?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Bob went over this with me today, so I'll try to walk you through it. So this, the top line, yeah, he did say that should be 24, 25 on the top.
Mhm.
24,
Um,
25.
Right.
Oh, not 25, 26.
So a couple of things that have to come out of the undesignated. One is for the Board of Ed, they're 2% for the non-lapsing account, which is 126,515. A second
Hold,
thing that,
hold, hold,
Wait, wait, wait.
hold the phone on
What
that
do you mean
one.
out of the?
Because,
well,
because they had found money of 178,000, which they went on a shopping spree. And then the rest of the money was going into their undesignated, from what I understood. So
Yeah, so what happens is, correct me if I'm wrong.
it comes to us and then goes back to
Yeah,
them.
it goes into, all monies come into the general fund, and then
Yep.
and then basically the money gets put into the RISA account
mhm.
by us. Not us, us meaning the general
General fund.
fund. So all tax money comes directly into that fund, and then it gets dispersed outside that fund. Just like if we were going to get tax money or the money for the students coming from another town, all that money comes into the account and then gets dispersed outside that account. It doesn't automatically, like after tax time and everything, they automatically get their chunk right off.
Yeah, but I thought the non-lapsing account was up to 3% for them. And so what's the decision-making process for that? Because
State statute.
only if they're under, it reloads based on what they're under from previous year, I thought.
Whatever they don't spend, they get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Up to a max of 2%.
So somebody do the math that shows me they were under 2%
Okay.
last year.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Hold for 1 second. The 126,515, I'm not even tracking that to where is that coming from?
Mhm.
Their final numbers for the year, maybe,
Where,
which we
Thought it was
don't have.
where, oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't se- I have not
That's
seen that.
helpful because the data that we do have, that's supposedly through June 30th, which would be year close.
Year close, so in my experience, we don't usually get the year end closing until I think this
About
time,
this
yeah, about
time.
this time of year, because it takes usually 60 days for them to
Yeah.
finalize all the billing and everything, and then they close out.
Yeah, so Melissa and Kathy are working together tomorrow, hopefully to finalize everything. So this is still obviously unaudited. It's just
Yeah.
an approximation at this point in time.
So they found money of approximately 178,000. It's turned back into the town.
So
then
that
they
number
want-
doesn't even match.
No,
That's
it's-
not
it-
even.
Well,
It's
I'm
not
just-
gonna match until they actually,
It's not gonna match, but let me just ask you this.
Okay.
And they want 126 back, so they're leaving 51,000 to the town?
No, that's what they spent.
No.
Because they bought a bunch
Okay,
of stuff.
that's why
I think that.
I want everybody to know that before we get
So,
any further.
so that 126 number could go higher, it could go lower. We don't exactly know what that number is until Kathy and
And
Melissa
Melissa
work through
finalizes.
that number. So these, like Susan was saying, they're unaudited. They're the best guesstimation that we
Yep.
have based on a datum point in time.
Okay,
I would consider the front of this very notional at best. This front page, yes. I would put more stock into the last page, which is more of
Where I was.
where you were. We can quickly
no.
run through the rest of this if, Yeah.
It's up to you,
Yeah.
however you'd like to.
How about we quickly go through this, the front sheet? Just give us the highlights
Sure.
of what Bob was talking about, and then we can go to the other side.
The next line is the bottle bill fund. So these are some revenue that we receive. We found out that it was sitting in the undesignated, this 8,327. It's a restricted fund because we can only spend that money on specific things like cleanup and recycling and what have you. So that has to come out of the undesignated and be restricted. So we can't count that as extra funds.
How large is that restricted fund?
There's multiple restricted funds. I mean,
Huh.
but this is, for this bottle bill, it's just, right now, it's the 8,327.
So
but we
this
do
is
get a
just an
significant-
internal journal entry. It's coming out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perfect.
Yeah. So for the
Got it.
next page, I mean,
No,
that will come off the
more.
total, the running balance. What? I'm sorry.
So now, does that represent a total or just a 1-year contribution?
This is the 1 year.
Contribution?
Mhm.
And how much is in the overall?
For the bottle bill?
Yeah,
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
That's like, how much is
How
in that
big is-
account?
is in that one.
I don't have that answer. I can get that for you, though.
And to Gary's, there are other I'm sorry, there are other restricted funds
Right.
are those?
Like the opioid, I think the opioid is another fund that's restricted.
Those are not part of any calculation on the
Right,
second page.
Right, right.
Do we get any report as to how that money's being spent on an annual basis?
We can absolutely provide that as far as where it's expensed.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
This is
those accounts.
fairly
in
new,
2
the
years, I've
bottle
never
bill,
seen
and
that.
yeah, so.
6 years, haven't seen it.
So I think that might be something that we should formally request
So is,
a report. Yeah, if I could.
there,
Gary, if I could, just,
Yeah.
I think we need to formally request some information about,
Yeah,
on all the requested
absolutely.
Yeah, if we
restricted
could get that,
accounts.
if we get
What that money-
a
Sure.
total of all the restricted accounts, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
yeah, I was gonna ask if the landfill cap is a restricted account or not.
No, that's a
capital.
self-funding
That's a separate.
No,
reserve.
and that's why I asked, because there's
Yeah.
money rolling into it. I'd like to keep our eyes on it because we want it to be there when we have to cap that thing.
The difference, though, is that there is no separate fund for that. It's just allocated out of our undesignated funds. Whereas if there's a restricted fund,
Well,
we can't go and touch that for any other reason.
that's, after I see the list of restricted funds, I'm gonna ask the question why some of these other things aren't restricted funds, because I think the cap should be.
They're restricted, I'm gonna assume, which I know it spells,
Probably by state.
because the state or the feds tell us that's how it has to go.
Okay.
We decide our own rules as far as what we want to do with our reserve accounts.
So I'm telegraphing the pitch. I think it should be restricted, Lou.
Let's hit a home run on it.
Gary
Well,
would
we'll
like
go
to,
separate on this one. I don't even think it should exist, but that's another, so we can save time for them. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So
Moving
my,
on.
my note is that we are requesting a review of all of the restricted accounts,
yeah, we're
current to
requesting
date,
information,
or a report.
a
What,
reporting.
what do we exactly we want? A report?
report of all totals.
Report. We're requesting a report of
Mhm.
all restricted accounts.
Totals.
Totals
And I thought the annual spend.
An annual spend
and annual spend.
for last year.
And Nicole's raising her hand.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Nicole
Stay after
Porter.
class.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Oh, last time I couldn't.
Yeah, we have an issue with.
Oh,
audio.
Nicole,
Hold on, Nicole.
can you hear us? Yeah, but we couldn't hear her. Can you hear?
I can hear
hear.
you.
He's talking, it's moving.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it something on the board over here? I know.
Usually not. Usually it's in the computer or in the red box right in front of us.
Yeah, it's all unmuted.
Is it, try switching on the box.
No, it's usually in the computer first.
Yeah. The red box in front of you.
You're gonna make Winona start twitching after her last meeting experience.
They're all up full games.
on
If
the
you
right,
hit the volume on your computer, just the speaker volume, it'd be
yeah.
as simple as
Yeah.
that.
Nicole can text me. I don't know, it's not working.
Is it not because, is it on?
Nicole, text me. I'll read your text or text in the chat box. Text in the chat box maybe.
We're having technical issues with the sound.
This is what happened. I
Yeah.
was sitting there last time. and I couldn't text it.
Don't worry. Bob's
Nicole,
got
can
a
you try
grant.
speaking again?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is there another screen that has the sound?
What'd you do? What'd you do with
Not-
the stream? With
Not
the
hearing
streaming on
anything,
YouTube?
turn up volume. Hit that button right there.
Yeah, that's down here.
Probably. Okay.
Yeah, so it's usually this here needs to be on the focus right, which I tried both of them and neither one are working.
No, it's through that- it's
Nicole,
through
can
the-
you
it's through the
try
sound system.
speaking again, please?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Now we can.
Oh, yay. Okay, I was just sitting there typing an entire thesis to Winona, so I'm glad you fixed it. I just wanted to comment. I don't want you to, and I certainly would defer to Suzanne on all of the specifics, but I don't want you to think there's a lot of like restricted funds. The bottle money that we get is from the state, from the NIPS, and it is earmarked specifically for certain things. I just don't want you to think that we have a bunch of restricted funds out there. That's kind of a little bit of an anomaly, and we have had conversations about how to utilize that money, but there are restrictions on it. I just didn't want you to think that there were a lot of restricted funds out there. That's kind of an anomaly. But again, I defer to Suzanne for all of the specifics.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's wondering like, oh, we have a bunch of slush funds sitting around. I think it's just, I don't think we've ever seen what the totals are for these accounts. I've never seen them on a ledger sheet.
Okay, sure.
And Lou goes over it. A bunch of us go over the ledger sheet pretty well, and I don't think any of us have seen that pop up, or it's labeled as something else, and we just don't
Make the
put,
connection.
don't make that connection on it. So, yeah, if we can get that information, that'd be great.
Sure.
Please, thank you. All right, so moving on down the list. So we have a new net income or give, it says a give back balance.
Yeah. So again, this is an estimate, a give back of the $570,070.32.
That's the delta after those two are given.
Right, right.
Okay,
So the next section is more additional funds to go into the undesignated fund. We just had an auction. We sold the old excavator and some other
Yep.
small items. We received over $12,000. And then again, Logan dropped off that check tonight for that $38,315 for the funds they're returning from the ambulance company. And also, there may be a de-obligation that needs to be approved from the 2023 steep funds for the irrigation project. They tried a different plan where they did a wheel where they're doing the irrigation differently than what the actual steep project is.
Yep.
So we had put $200,000 aside for that, and instead of holding that money, we can bring
De-obligate
it
it.
back, put it back in.
yeah, it looks like that project's really working well over there.
Right. So those total, $250,920.32, to go back into the undesignated, which gives us a total increase of $820,990.66.
Okay, that's unaudited, yep.
Right. And I think I'm missing a page.
So with
here.
that 820,000 and change pushes our new balance unaudited over 5 million.
Right.
20.7% when we're allowed
Yeah.
17.
Okay, so then if you go to the spreadsheet of the
Yeah.
undesignated funds, it kind of breaks it out in the bottom, the percentage of where we would be at right now. So we would be at 20.7%. There is one potential ask for the steep for 2025. And this has to do with the parking lots, the new parking lot here, the meeting room, that steep grant, that would be 779,120 ask.
Yeah, but so that's what my lead-in question was. So thanks for driving us to this line.
Yeah.
How real is that? I mean, are we shovel ready on anything? Are there designs that drive us to believe these projects can be delivered for what the estimate was?
I know Bob is working on the steep grant. I really don't have that answer for you tonight. I don't know how far, what he has for engineering and, where we're at right now, but for the
So
next
there's,
meeting. we
there's
can have that for
engineering
you.
and then there's bids.
Right.
And
I know.
in my opinion, we should not be sitting on taxpayer money or allocating it towards a grant unless we know we can deliver. Case in point, the irrigation for the school.
Right.
The grant got approved, we earmarked 200,000, and it turns out it wasn't gonna work, but we found a way to work, so it all rolled back to us. We should be better suited before we earmark taxpayer funds to be used for a project that's not grounded properly.
And then tax them for it.
Yeah.
That's the kicker.
Yeah, it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse on some of these projects where it's a, I would say a good idea, but it's a notional plan. We need to go get the money. We gotta go. We have to get the seat grant out. And then the engineering will follow it. And then it doesn't seem like the engineering and the bids kind of fall into the original realm of the project. And then we start getting hiccups like the water, so the roof was a completely different thing because of material costs. They skyrocketed on.
The
But
bids were really high.
it is,
Yeah.
that project is a little bit of a different project than the rest of them. I think everybody keeps on pointing back, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, the irrigation, where things just keep going the other way with it. And
And that irrigation, there were no bids that did come in for that project. I know that, and then that started changing things, but, no, I can definitely get that information for the board for the next meeting. as
which
far
is
as-
which is another thing, and I think Gary will probably contest this also, is it's concerning at how a town with our bond rating, how much cash we have, the projects that we have, and we're getting a lot of no bids.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's, the RFPs that we're putting out and how they're either written is scaring people off. They're just not quality projects that people are understanding what they are. But Gary, correct me if I'm wrong. We're getting a lot of that type of stuff where I don't know if it's the way that we're writing them is scaring people off, contingency, a multitude of different things. But these are good projects that we would think that people would be bidding on.
If I could speak,
Yeah.
for the irrigation, that's the one I worked on, and that was the Department of Economic Development for the state. It was very specific how the bid went out. We had to
Okay.
go by their guidelines, we had to go by their bid. So we were kind of, the prevailing wage. It was just, it is what it is, and we just couldn't.
Yeah, but
customize
foundationally,
it. Yeah,
having done this for a 20 plus year career, you got to have substantial engineering to support what you want to do. Your bid documents got to reflect that you've got engineering to do what you want to do. And then you'll get quality bids based on the quality engineering you provide in the RFP. I think my perspective is we're going out for bids with substandard engineering, and people are afraid to get burned by responding to bids unless it's called out what we're actually going to do.
Because what's happening is they are assuming the risk on, they have to do all the legwork. They have to do the heavy engineering on it, and they don't want to assume the risk on that.
So to overcome that kind of a problem, we look out and see what we need to do, obligate ourselves to do the engineering first and worry about getting the grants to do the actual work later.
Right.
We commit, we'll pay for the engineering, and then we'll go to the state if there are grants available after we have really high-quality engineering
Or
to
at least,
determine it.
you know, strong conceptual, but you got to have engineering documents behind it. It's, I don't see any other way to do it because to get a grant approved with the back of an envelope, just forgive me, I'm going to speak in generalities. Back of the envelope engineering documents to support what you want to do. And then you go to the street and the street responds poorly and we're asking the street why they're responding poorly. All we have to do is look at ourselves.
And it doesn't help that everybody's having a little tough time getting any kind of work done.
Yep.
It's just
100%
the
right.
nature of what we got right now.
It's just, I know like a lot of the bigger cities and towns and everything, it's substantially larger. They have their own engineering department. So when they send out a project that they're either going to do storm drains or they handle that engineering, either they have somebody on retainer or they handle that in-house and they give the higher 30,000 foot level and they send out that as a part of engineering. We're a small town. We can't have somebody on heavy retainer to be able to go do that work on every single project that we do. But I think we just need to have a little bit more detailed conceptual, not just, hey, we're going to do this. It's a little bit more finite.
We also need a little better heads up on when they're coming. Because a lot of times they'll tell us, well, we got to send in the bid 2 weeks from now because that's when the due date is, where it's been out for 2 or 3 months. We didn't know about it. So as soon as somebody figures out where the grant is, then we need to do the conceptuals so we can send it in with the bid.
Well, it's very much like if you're doing HVAC, you're not going to tell them to go do it. We want to plan to do the HVAC system in the middle of summer. That's like the worst time to do an HVAC system because you're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to say, well, I'm busy with no air conditioning calls.
Right, so their bid's gonna be up here. If they get the bid, they know it's worthwhile going to drop 2 other
Exactly.
customers. Right?
So Nicole or Suzanne, this potential steep appropriation for 2025 of 800,000 roughly. What if we knocked that by 60% and you said, okay, we're going to give you 30% of that 800,000. We will earmark for us to do design to support knowing what we're going to do before we lock up $800,000 of the taxpayers' money on projects that may or may not happen. Is that feasible, or is there a trigger that we have to get back to the state that we're willing to ante up now?
I'm quite sure with the steep that you have to show that that money has been appropriated
Yeah.
for the grant to even be, for the application to go in, for the grant
have-
to get awarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have 4 years to actually
Yeah.
Yeah,
do
but
it.
They have to show you have that fund, your
Proof of funds.
portion, proof of
You have
fund.
to have
Yeah,
the-
but we could point to the whole undesignated account. We have
No.
proof of funds.
They
But
want
it
to set
has to
aside.
be an appropriate,
It
it
has
has
appropriated, approved by the town.
specific that we have
But
it.
all right, then does that mean that can we consider that differently in our undesignated fund conversation? Because at that point, we can say, yeah, okay, we have the money and we'll hold it aside, but we still haven't decided if we're going to do it yet.
Mhm.
So that's a different,
Mhm.
as opposed to something, we're doing it, we've signed contracts, this is going to happen. Might be in a year and a half, but we are definitely going to do this. As opposed to if the engineering comes back, we like what we see and everything's the way we want it. We've told the state we got the money, but now we will really commit to do it.
Hmm.
That's a different classification in my mind in looking at the undesignated fund.
I actually, not trying to recreate the wheel, I look at it, we can appropriate it. But when we look at what we should be holding as a balance, I see that as I see it as $800,000 a maybe, not committed because we.
Well, that's
haven't-
where you would end
Right.
up. You're right. That's where
Yeah.
that number would grow.
Right.
So,
I mean, hence why that other $200,000 is going to be obligated and coming back. Why hold it for?
And I've been watching that project for a while and it was idea, certain, like, this is gonna actually have, we have a really good idea. And then it kind of started fading back the other way and then it turned into we don't know if this is gonna work, this is gonna work, this is gonna work. It was kind of all over the place. So it's, and then we're de-obligating it, you know, a year or two later. So, okay. All right.
Have we been provided with all of the details behind this this steep grant for the,
2025.
yeah, for the $780,000? Have we seen all of the specs for this?
I don't.
No, that
think
was
we've-
something, I asked Bob for a couple meetings ago, and you were on vacation, but he said you could put that together for us as far as what we had. As far as obligations out there, approved grants and obligations.
No, I'm speaking to this particular one, the steep 2025 for 779. Like, what's in there? Like, what are we even talking about? I've heard
Yeah.
parking lots and a roof, so I don't know, this room.
There-
like,
there-
Have we
Some-
seen the specs?
What
on it?
what is the list of the 2025? Is it, it's the parking
It's the
lot?
parking lots, I think 3 parking lots paving, the new parking lot, and I don't know if that's part of the 3. And there is
The double
some
door.
road work. I have to get
Facade,
a
the facade,
facade here in the meeting room.
the meeting room.
Yeah,
So really, it's centric to Gary's favorite building.
Yeah.
This,
here,
the
and that
parking
parking
lot,
lot there, and a
the-
couple other parking lots. Yeah.
nothing wrong.
And it's a
a great
80/20?
building.
Yes,
So it's this building though. It's
Right.
298,
correct.
all 298.
Is it the C-
Is it?
Is that true?
It's a 298, yes.
Yeah.
It's the
So it's
meeting
all
room, it's the parking lot,
Parking lots.
and the other parking lots. So it's, I believe, 3 projects total.
Yeah.
So if we set the money aside, we get the conceptual drawings and start figuring out what the cost's gonna be. Any one of them 4 or 5 projects are connected to that steep are way above what they're requesting. It dumps the whole grant, am I correct?
No, you can choose not to do a project.
Project. You can
still
split it
get
up in
You
different
can still
projects.
do the other 2 if one's not passed, one's not done.
All right, so,
Correct.
okay, back again. We set aside the money. We let them spend some money to do the conceptuals. And we figure out it's double or triple what it is. We're only out the money that we gave them for the conceptuals,
Engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
engineering fees.
Because enginering's not part of the grant, that
right.
comes
So
out of
then
town
the other
funds.
170,000 goes back in.
Yeah, we have to front that.
Or, well, not more than 170,000, but you know what I mean. I mean, if it
Can I
has,
ask, can I go in a slightly different direction here on the end, because the general discussion?
Yeah.
If we were to say, we were to take those numbers and now we're at 17.5%, say, instead of 17. How do we envision this actually, if we decide it's going to go back? It's going to go to reduce debt. The mechanism that we do, I mean, if we go to reduce debt, I'm sorry, let me back up.
Let's
If we go
cross
to
that bridge when we get to it. Let's
Well,
decide.
no, well,
Go ahead.
well, because it will make a difference, because if we say we're going to give the money back to the taxpayer,
Yep.
then that means what? We don't do anything until next year and set the mill rate then. We're not going to send a refund back now.
There's specific things, but ultimately it's either reduce the mill rate or reduce the debt.
Which we can't do the
Right.
mill rate until next year.
That's what I was getting at. So we can't do the mill rate until next year. When do we get the impact of the reevaluation
Mid to end January,
of this upcoming year?
if I remember right.
So we're going to have a revaluation.
Which it could be a little bit longer depending on if you're gonna have assessment board of appeals, which in the reval year, I would assume there is going to be a bunch. So it could be delayed a little bit into February, but
Especially in this current
Environment.
climate.
Oh,
we
yeah,
know-
for sure. Yeah.
I'm anticipating the zoning board of, not zoning,
Yeah,
yeah,
There was a discussion of it's going to be,
it's,
they'll have some extra meetings.
there will be people out in the stands.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm getting at is if we decide to give it back to the taxpayers, which I really like that idea, we really can't do anything until the next year,
I disagree.
Well,
because
really,
it's mill rate. How
well,
would you do it?
I would pay down capital debt.
That's not the same, that's a different item. What I'm saying is, if you're going to give the money back to the taxpayer, we can't do it until until we're into next year's budget. Because we
So paying
don't
down
set,
capital debt is giving it back to the taxpayer, because if we pay down capital debt, we depress like next year's capital plan by X, and we hold them to that number, it is reducing the taxpayer's burden.
no, because you could leave the mill rate all alone and just have the undesignated fund go up again. So you're not, that does not give the taxpayer a nickel. It really doesn't.
That's
It
not
doesn't.
true. That's not, so there's gonna be a couple things that are gonna come into play.
Yep.
The reval is gonna make the grand list go up. I'm just
Right? Oh, no.
predicting.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna have to do a mill rate correction for that anyway.
Correct.
Because we're not gonna
That
hit
won't,
twice.
that won't happen until after the budget. passes.
Right.
Right.
So I don't understand why paying down capital now wouldn't help. Because what, the capital plan for 2027,
Mhm.
2026, which year are we, which budget cycle?
26,
We're in
27.
26, 27.
26,
Yeah.
27.
So
It's
if
always
we,
like-
if we reduce the capital plan or capital spend for 26, 27.
Which includes, which is, you're talking about debt reduction,
Right.
debt payments, not
Right.
capital
So we take a
expenditures.
couple of those lease payments or trucks we got out there and pay them off. And I know you don't want this. I know you prefer to pay off the school. I get it.
No, I
We'll
don't
get to
prefer,
that. We'll
no,
get-
I do not prefer to
Okay.
pay off the school.
That
Let me be clear.
starts us at a lower starting point to set the mill rate for that budget year.
It changes the projection of that
Yeah.
curve going forward.
Correct.
Because then you can either pull things in or you can push things out and you're lowering that
Right. So
angle.
by paying them off, you're not giving them more money to spend on capital. We're
Correct.
reducing
We're
that
reducing it. and
capital amount
capping
that has to come out. So instead of 800,000, you take off 200,000, you're only going to give them 600,000. That reduces our our money to use for next year by whatever amount we do it.
Unless they come in with another capital request, which they
No.
could.
Yeah,
They
but we have the ability to say no.
Unless it's an absolute
We do.
need, something blew up or
Right, but I
something's
mean,
blown.
unless it's an absolute need.
Right.
But
So that would reduce.
Say how you feel, Lou.
no, it's a situation where if by doing that, it's a much more expensive way to end up owning that equipment that we owe money on.
How much more expensive? That was the
Well,
question.
because you're
we
gonna
wanted.
pay the penalty to it well.
Yeah, but
and
the
you're gonna-
penalty, the penalty's
what?
imputed in the lease.
No, but yes, but you're taking
You're
the
gonna pay
money
it
out of,
anyways over the top of the lease.
but you're taking the money out of the bank where you're earning interest on it and you're paying that to the bankers. It doesn't make,
But
I mean,
But you also,
sense.
you also want to take the money out of the bank to give back to the people, so there's no interest there. Am I
but
correct
would-
on that,
But
Phil?
that wouldn't happen until next year.
Yeah, you can't,
You
you're
got a
not gonna
point.
be able to lower the mill rate until we set the mill rate next year.
Right, so it's a whole year, it's gonna
That is,
sit,
that
yeah.
is settled law that that is not.
So
an
we
option
start off,
until
we start off
season-
next year at the top rate of where we're at right now. And then decide whether you're gonna take and give money back just to the mill rate, or are we gonna reduce some of the capital?
I think you gotta look at it as if you're gonna, if you're gonna try to hit like, I know some people have talked about making a payment on the school. I know, I'm just saying exactly what people are saying. Make a payment on the school, lower down that, it's because it's our largest debt. There's a bunch of people saying buy the trucks outright, and there's a bunch of different options that we can do. However, at some point, we're either gonna have to, the quick fix would be to do it on the capital before we go into next budget season, so we already know that number. Or we wait and then readjust it once we find out exactly how the reeval shakes out and how all the other numbers shake out at the end of the budget, and reset the mill rate accordingly.
Because as I understand it, we have 1 year from when we recognize that we have
One
this,
fiscal year. Yep.
we have
Fiscal year,
1
yep.
year.
Yep.
So we've been in this position now for a matter of a couple of months.
Let's say 3 months.
And it's just, to me,
We've been in this position way longer than that. This has been Lou, it was forecasted last year. There were discussions with some of the factions last year, some of the town factions, that we were going to be over the undesignated fund or whatever we want to call it this year, which is why a bunch of groups came to us for big asks last year, and we politely said, no, thank you.
Correct.
Right, but a forecast is just that. I mean, my understanding, the budget, the policy is, once we've got it, the audit's been done, and we know this is what we have. We have 1 year from that time.
So when is that hard number? Are we done and dusted? Because I'm looking at a sheet that we still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right, we still-
Well, that's got to
We're
do with
still
some of
not
the
over
reporting
yet.
that we're gonna be looking for.
Yeah.
Which is all the more reason for me, we don't know what we want to give back yet. How much do we want to give?
If it were me, I'd make a motion that we drop this fund to 15% and live with the results. And we take the balance that we reduce the fund to go from 20.7 to 15%, and we pay down capital debt.
The leases.
Yep.
No,
If
leases
if
and
you
the
did
trucks
that,
are up.
all you, I don't mind the idea about going down to 15% if you had some really good thing to do with the money. But to do that, you might as well just use some of the taxpayers' money to kindling for a campfire. That's all you're doing.
So I think it's disingenuous of this board and the town to sit on the taxpayers' money because we want to make 14% 4% in CDs on it. That's wrong, Louis.
I agree, but what I'm suggesting to you is that we do this in a holistic way, looking at the revow. We're going to be resetting the mill rate and within the 1 year designation that we have. And from my perspective, going down to 15%, I see no reason not to do that as well. And to provide a real tax benefit to the people of North Stonington, that they will see a real change in their tax. Look, my taxes went down.
So.
Not,
And
They
So
didn't go down.
the only way to do what you describe is we need to go through the entire budget season again with a fat undesignated fund and a fat reval. And we're gonna have to hold back the tide of everybody going, we got all this extra money, why aren't we spending it?
And then we're gonna have to adjust it at the end.
Yeah,
That's exactly how we're gonna have to do it.
that's exactly what's gonna. yep.
Because I brought it up when we were talking about, when we were setting the mill rate. I'm like, why are we dropping it to 17? And
So a couple of,
didn't materialize.
Sorry, I want to,
I have a couple of things. One, we knew we were going to be over, I'm going to say 8 months ago.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Two, we have a policy. The policy says that we're supposed to review these numbers by January 1st of every year. Three, we reviewed this policy earlier in the year and we made no changes to it. And I think that that was a mistake. And I think we all realized that. And I think that we need to re-review this policy come the middle of November, whenever we have a new board and we can take some fresh eyes and look at it and decide what new teeth we need to add to the policy. And I think most importantly, I'm going to reiterate what I said in the last meeting, which is I'm disappointed in both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Ed that 2 months after the budget closes, we're looking at a give back of $800,000 in budgets that, especially the Board of Ed, had a swing of almost $1 million in 6 months time frame. $800,000 is 3.5% of the total budget that we just approved for this year, this fiscal year. That's a big difference. I would have liked to have talked about mill rate changes before we approved this budget. This is not good fiscal policy to be running this town on. And there's a lot of pissed off North Stonington people that we're sitting on $5 million right now. We have to find a solution. Not everybody thinks the same. I agree with you. You and I think a little bit different. I like the idea of paying off one payment on the school. Not everybody agrees with that. Paying off leases, not everybody agrees with that, but we're going to have to put our heads together and come up with some consensus because people want their money back. And I'm not really sold on dumping $780,000 into a potential steep grant for 3 parking lots and a facade upgrade on this building either at this point in time. I'll be honest with you. That's why I asked if I've seen the specs, because I'm not sure I voted on this, but I probably wasn't seated that night. It might have been on purpose. But anyway, I think we need to do better. We need to do better. This is a lot of money that we're talking about right now. And I think that we need to look at this policy and we need to abide by this policy a little bit better. This is a lot of money. This is a lot of money that we're sitting on. And the reeval, Suzanne says, is taking place now. We cannot change the mill rate, I believe, until next year. We are locked in.
Yep.
And the capital expenditures, there's nothing coming, right? Are we aware of anything that's coming for appropriations?
Capital Committee report.
Have we heard of anything? Like that's, I'm questioning this to make sure that,
No, I have not, and I had a taxpayer conversation with the first selectman. And the commitment around capital payment buy down would be that we buy down a couple of the things that we have payments on going into next year. The capital spend for that year would come down that much and stay that way. There's not an expectation that it will re-up.
so I just think we really need to get serious and we need to start making some decisions on these numbers. If we end up at 5 million and $11,000 here in a couple months, we're gonna get talked to a lot before November happens. So we need to do something.
I think if we attack the capital, it is the earliest that the taxpayer is going to see that we as a board are serious.
Being
about
proactive.
being proactive and start attacking it. I understand. However, it's one, what, like Winona said, we have to show that this board is serious about lowering something.
And we also have to take responsibility for, like I said, this $880,000 quote unquote give back, or $820,000 potential give back. This is a hard pill for me to swallow. We need to take responsibility for this and own up to the fact that it's happening potentially in August or September instead of knowing what these numbers were a couple of months ago. Not following grants. We're gonna follow grants better 25, 26. I promise you, team, we're gonna follow grants better because this is unacceptable.
I think what we need to have going forward, if we could, of grants that we are identifying as potentials. And then also kind of a running hot list of what we have out there, what we're working on going forward, what's been sent out and what we actually got back as approved, or what we actually said, you know what, the terms weren't great, we don't like it, and we declined them, or we accepted them, or however, because I know that there's been some, like, the 18-wheeler, the electric 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
You know, we were all set up for that and everything like that, and then we find out it's like, we're not gonna do it. You can't run in the cold weather, you can't do this, can't do that, and it was gonna cost a bunch of money. And we had to get rid of a good truck on top of that. So we decided we're not gonna do that. I think that's what this board is kind of going for, where we need to really start tracking.
Well, just to reiterate, Melissa and I have been working on, mostly Melissa in QuickBooks. We're setting it up so we can track all the grants separately and report off of it and easily see the money coming in, out, and the projection. And so that is in the works.
Yeah.
And there are 12 active grants now listed on the Board of Ed financials that mysteriously popped up around the May-June timeframe. That was a little bit of our variance there to the tune of $140,000 that we need to keep our eyes on too as well.
That they found.
That are now being reported on the Board of Ed financials that we need to keep our eyes on as well.
Okay.
We need to do better. It's just, we owe the townspeople more accountability.
So we missed the forecast by about 3.4, Winona. Do I have that right?
Yeah, 820 is about 3,334.
Of the 24 million total budget. The fact that we missed the forecast by 3.5%, good guy, is not something to be proud of. That's a bad day in the real world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait, let's,
If you're running a business,
if you're running a business and your budget comes in within 3 to 4%, that's pretty good.
no, surprise favorability of 3.5%.
Surprise of anything.
When you're forecasting at budget, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, you mean in the last
Yeah.
60 days?
yes,
You have that kind of,
yes.
Yeah.
that's bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's
floppy
very bad.
shoes, red rubber nose, bad.
Yeah. So,
So
okay.
895,
Oh.
$896,000 came in,
But some of that had to do with the fact.
minus the
Oh,
200.
you know,
Some of that had to do with things that changed, like the infamous irrigation system. I mean,
So that's
when we,
200,000.
2 months ago, we thought we were spending that money.
Mhm.
Now we know we're not, because good information came in and we changed our minds, which was a good thing to do because,
It's a good pivot. It really
yeah,
was.
that was a
It's-
smart thing to
It was
do.
a smart thing.
So I
to do
don't think we
because-
want to penalize our process because somebody was smart enough to figure out a different way to do something and save the town a lot of money. I don't see that as a negative.
I see with also Alan having more involvement in a lot of the town infrastructure plans. I see Alan online right now.
Alan doesn't have anything.
Aren't you lucky that you're on? I think with him having a lot more involvement into the infrastructure of town, I think it's gonna iron out a lot of out of the box thinking on a lot of these projects where it's not gonna be just this is how we have to go do it. It's more this is the plan. However, is there different ways of attacking and eating this elephant? You know, is it bit by bit or is it big chunk?
And I think added to
I
that,
completely agree with that, but I want to get back on tack. We would have had a very different discussion about the town's mill rate had we had better eyes on a 3.5% good guy coming in our lap.
well, that's true, but again, the decision was made to, in substantial portion, make that happen from new information we didn't have then. So this is kind of, this is looking in the rearview mirror a little bit. So, but I'd just like to pivot a little bit more here and say, when the question came up, what kind of capital projects do we have planned for over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years? We basically come back and say, we don't have any.
No, we have a
No,
capital
there's a
plan.
capital-
There's
No,
no
no.
changes to the
No,
capital plan.
but those items, unless I,
They're items, not projects, though.
well, no, what I'm getting at is this building aside, this is what we're doing here. There's no capital improvement budget that I recall for the school.
Because there's nothing wrong with it.
That's,
Well,
but you see, that's not exactly a good way to look at it.
No, but
So-
I've been told there's nothing wrong with it,
so
Lou,
we
and then the
used to
capital
have, we
plan
used to have
reflects that.
the permanent school committee.
Mhm.
And they would always put money into that line item for usually was seal coating, doing the lines and some general maintenance. And usually it was like a $75,000 throw in every year or every other year. And that's where they would end up pulling the painting and stuff like that out of. And that's kind of morphed into, because turned into ownership of all these buildings, they've become more of the operating maintenance line items. Because we've kind of shifted the ownership of all these buildings around, especially for the school.
Well,
Gary?
I have nothing to add. I think that first thing we need, order of business, is to get these final pencils down, all stop. I do want to reiterate, I really don't want to be a part of this board if we're going to go into the budget season with this balance plus a reval. It's just, it's going to be unbearable to keep people back from trying to spend what's out there.
Of course, and I think the first thing for our budget season coming up would be to attack the capital plan itself. Do we have an idea when mid-September, they're gonna start taking a cut at it, or is it when
I was, but I wasn't aware we were revamping the committee. It was pretty much between the Board of Ed and the school and the town. We were only there if we needed a tiebreaker, right, Lou?
okay, so
But so from my understanding, the capital plan for the next budget season is pretty set. Unless there's,
it's pretty set for the next
Something
2 or
came
3
up.
Yeah,
years.
Unless something came
Yeah.
up, but
Yeah.
other than
yeah,
that,
usually the way it was set was like next year, and then you have 2 or 3 years, that plan, and then you have a 5.
no.
A 5, an 8, a 10,
Right.
and as it further grows out, the less it's less firm. But within the next, we should know within the next 2
So
years
there's
what
a-
we're going
I
to
think
be
there's a
burning
flat
out of
and
that
an
account
increase and then a
easily.
flat.
Was that?
I think there's a flat, couple increases and a flat.
Yeah. So it's not exponential curve.
No,
It's
there's
literally,
up
it's
and
got
downs in it.
plateaus to it.
And it also depends on whether something breaks.
Oh, of course.
So, and
that's-
we also said we would just move the,
You'll have to
move the-
move things around and,
Yeah.
you know,
So the 26-27 proposed capital plan is 789,000, which includes a $65,000 plow tractor for the school.
65,000?
Yes.
What the hell are they buying for 65,000?
Now, if we pay off a couple, wait,
That was done before the transfer of the buildings. Would that still be a town project now? so?
Nope, just don't even worry about it. It's coming out of capital. Let's just call it capital.
capital,
Okay,
capital.
that's a heck of a plow truck. If we were to pay off the hook, these are just arbitrary. The hook lift truck number 17 for 83,000 and make a payment on the loader for 61,000, bringing our total early payments to 144,416. That would drop the capital plan for 26-27 from 789 to 644, which represents a reduction of 109,416. Just, this is roughly.
What if you pay them off?
That's if we just brought it to 17, if we came down to what now, if we took a bigger bite than that, we could go deeper. Blue's turning purple. Your mic's
Is,
off.
is the hook truck
I
an early?
said what I said. It's, you
Is the
know,
hook truck, Susan, is the hook truck a lease payment? Or is it an own?
It's a lease.
It's a lease? All right, so there's gonna be a penalty on top of that. And that's our first or second year paying into it, or is it our first year?
Ending date's 2026.
Yeah, so it'd be our final payment on that.
Yeah, I think that was a
Where's the
3 year.
pumper?
so you would pay 1 year that would be a 1 year in advance payment.
Correct.
If it makes you feel any better, that penalty's probably
No,
pretty small.
I was losing sleep over that.
I'm sure you, it's not good to lose.
no. not healthy.
Is what, 3 years left on the pumper?
So just taking a straw poll, it sounds like, I'll say Lou might be the outlier on this one. I think the capital is the earliest that we can really, when people start really asking, what are you doing with the $5 million? We can honestly come out and say, if we attack the capital, because it sounds like the capital is gonna be the first thing that comes to us, we can literally say, this is what we're going to do. It is attack the capital, and that will lower your overall.
Attack the capital, cap the budget. The budget submission's got to meet what we paid off
Correct.
and move forward from there.
And move forward. Does
That's our plan.
I
At this,
think
this,
we just have to have a
yeah.
notion. Obviously, it's always subject to change without notice when we're dealing with big, heavy objects and everything. It's just, I think what we need to do is have, I think, do you quasi agree with that?
Yeah.
It's just,
That's where you want to go?
it's a decent plan where we can actually come out as a unified front as a board and say, hey, this is what we think we're gonna do.
And I don't want to shortchange the rich discussion about a payment on the school. We can go into that real quick if we want to.
Yeah, If we want to
You
discuss
could-
that and
you could take
everything.
one payment-
The one thing,
One payment on the school and the rest on the capital would be,
We won't take one payment on the school. Bringing it to 17% isn't even a full payment.
one quick question. Could we get a date on when we plan on having the capital budget in front of this board to review?
I can find out.
yeah, but if you drop it 15%, you get almost $1 million.
Because if it's like October, November, great. We were supposed to have it, I think, in December last year,
Right.
and everything kind of got pushed to the right.
It's part of what, and I think with the reval, it just, to me, continues to make more sense to wait a little bit longer.
Was that?
I don't see that, honestly.
I think we're going to be in a time squeeze with the reevaluation. I think we're going to get into a calendar crunch a little bit for 26.
But we have to set the mill rate based on that reevaluation.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we sit here a lot and pontificate for really no reason at all, and we're going to have even less time to do so in 2026, Lou. That's my point.
But my point is you're gonna have all of that information.
Yeah, so we're just gonna have
including this.
9 meetings in March.
Well, but
Probably.
that's irrelevant. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter because we need all of that information before we set the mill rate for next year anyway.
The-
So that doesn't
The
matter.
appeals processes should work its way out well before we set the mill rate.
Right.
Unless there's a,
March,
yeah, it's
April.
March, April. So by the time we set the mill rate, we will know exactly what the financials will be. We will know
That's-
all the numbers that we need, and then we'll have to make the decision how we adjust it, if it's a 1-for-1, or we adjust it however we need to adjust it.
Mhm.
To support the tax levy that we have to levy.
Right.
But I think this, if we can get a date when we
Yeah,
think we're gonna get a
absolutely.
firm capital plan, that'd be great.
Sure.
All right, you want to have the discussion about the school quick? Oh, wow.
No, we did. It was, if we go to 17%, it's not even a full payment on the school. And, while it is potentially financially better as an end result, it's a benefit we're not going to reap until it's paid off, which is how many years out?
30.
So
No.
so the
Oh,
taxpayers that paid into the surplus that we have right now won't even realize that.
No,
And actually, it's worse than that. Because
Excellent.
what you're advocating is to take money that we're earning 4% on
Yeah.
and paying debt that we're getting
2.75.
charged 2%. There's no argument to be made to do that. It just
Okay.
can't be.
It's like paying
I don't
your-
think-
yeah.
Wild card. Are we able to open the policy to throw another option out there for another way to give money back to
What's that?
to town people? We only have 2 options now. Is there a third option we haven't considered
when I
that we
wrote
could
that-
write back into the
At the last
policy?
meeting, we discussed it being disingenuous to revise the policy prior to reconciling to the policy that exists today. Now, we could,
If it's,
Yeah, I wrote it.
but my concern is we open the policy to revise it and we raise the minimum to 20% and suddenly we're good again. That just is bad.
No, I think what you're asking is how do we get the money back?
Yeah.
I'm asking,
Check.
could,
So,
are there other policies, other towns around here that
Okay,
have other
so
ways to give money
I-
back?
I wrote the policy. So I went through a bunch of towns. It was a tricky policy to write because what we had to do is we had to choose non-charter towns
Oh, yeah.
to go base that off of because we had to go off state statute. Then when I started doing more research, there was so many different fluctuations of the percentage. The ones that were very consistent was how they give money back to the taxpayer, which was debt, mill rate reduction. Those were the only real mechanisms that you can do to give the money back. That's,
You could, with a new policy, do a refund, but then the refund check that we'd send out might cost more to cut the check than what you're
correct.
going to actually give to the individual. So I think that's probably why they do that, because it's the most efficient manner to make
It's the
the,
most efficient and probably most equitable way of doing it is it's the collective
yeah, I would
whole
agree.
where it's easier to track, it's easy to give the money back. And really, you're not giving money back. It's just you're readjusting what you're actually going to be taking back for the next year.
right,
You're just lowering it and you're readjusting your numbers. For
future
the
savings.
future
It's a
savings.
future savings for
Correct.
the,
We're going to be doing the same thing. I
Yeah.
totally agree. We have a $5 million undesignated fund right
this is
now.
this is a great problem to
It's a
have, by the way.
great,
but
I
we
hate
gotta
to
deal
say
with
it, it's an amazing problem compared to other towns around here where they have multiple referendums are going through and everything like that. This is a great, I would understand, a great problem to have. However, it's
Gotta deal
still a
We
problem.
gotta deal with it.
I totally agree with everybody on this board when they were talking about, hey, we need to tackle this. But it does sound like we have a pretty good consensus of how we want to attack it. All right? So, Gary, does it make you?
Yeah, I'm probably going to echo what Winona said. We need to stop kicking the can. We need to act. I don't want to keep rolling this ball down the road. Suddenly we're in budget season And we say, we'll take care of it once we understand where we land, or the budget, we'll do it all at once. It will get lost in the sauce. We know we're over. We know we have more money than the policy allows us to carry.
Mhm.
Let's reconcile.
Correct.
Did
Okay,
I overstep? Okay.
I think we're good. All right, next one. We'll consider that closed for now. We have a good plan going forward. Meeting minutes, I do not have any meeting minutes that were forwarded to me. Or I didn't see any in my
Amy-
email.
I think Amy did.
Did
Can
Amy
we
have
just,
any?
can we just punt?
Yeah, we'll punt it to the next one. I know she was talking about there was a set of minutes that we don't have from a certain date. I think Carl, it's probably yours. I'll have her reach out to you and because I think Antoinette is searching feverishly for those. Okay. Just walk across the street and hand it to her. All right, public comments. Nothing, anybody online?
Nope.
Okay. Next meeting is gonna be September 3rd, 2025. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All right. And we are done at 8:20. Oh,
Doesn't matter.
yeah. All in favor?